Good morning. How are you doing this fine day? Me, I am burdened with glorious purpose and desperate for a cup of tea. Thanks for asking. We've got another packed show for you today, so let's roll that intro. Welcome to the Breakfast Show. I'm your host, Mark Anthony. It's Wednesday, the 21st of July, and as old Beardy just said, welcome to the Breakfast Show. I'm your host, Mark Anthony. In today's show, another false dawn for the families of the Didcot 4. Materials maker has been hit with a halves fine. There's a call for a demolition contractor to flex its muscles in Perth. And we ask, what is louder, a social media influencer or a hydraulic breaker? And the answer might just surprise you. If you've got any comments or questions about any of that or anything else for that matter, please leave them in the chat and I will get to them just as soon as I possibly can. But first, let's pause to give thanks that 9 months and however many years ago, two people got together in the biblical sense and spawned a celebrity that is celebrating a birthday today.
Happy birthday!
Many happy returns to that most manly of authors, Ernest Hemingway. The Old Man and the Sea remains one of my favourite books, but far more importantly, he also gave Ultravox the name of one of their early songs, Death in the Afternoon. It's happy birthday also to singers Cat Stevens and Paloma Faith, to footballer Titus Bramble, and most importantly of all, many happy returns to the late, great Mr. Robin Williams. Never has the expression, the tears of a clown, been more apt. Happy birthday to each and every one of them. And so the wait goes on. Yesterday's pre-inquest hearing on the investigation into the Didcot disaster proved to be yet another false dawn for the families of the 4 men killed at the Didcot A power station back in February 2016. It also means that the global demolition industry must continue to wait to learn the true cause of the boiler house collapse and potentially save the lives of demolition workers currently charged with carrying out similar work around the world. Thames Valley Police says officers are still looking into whether charges of corporate manslaughter, gross negligence manslaughter, or offences under the 1974 health and safety legislation should be brought against the companies and individuals involved. In a statement read to Oxford Coroner's Court yesterday afternoon, Senior Investigating Officer Detective Superintendent Craig Kirby said his team had so far taken 2,429 witness statements and collected 180,000 what he described as artifacts. Individuals and companies suspected of committing alleged offences have been interviewed under caution and because of the complexity of the case would likely be interviewed again. Given the complexity and scale of the investigation, as described previously, I am unable to provide a completion date for this work, the police officer said. Concluding the pre-inquest review, Senior Coroner Darren Salter said he would review the case in 6 months' time. All of which is nothing short of a disgrace. Directly or otherwise, demolition inflicted the first blow upon the families of those 4 men. Regardless of the findings of this interminable investigations, the 4 men, that's Mick Collins, Ken Cresswell, Christopher Huxtable and John Shaw, were working in demolition at the time. Regardless of the eventual findings, those 4 men went to work in a demolition environment and never made it home. But if demolition inflicted the first blow, then the investigating authorities have inflicted every subsequent blow and every subsequent injury and ounce of suffering. From the time it took to recover the bodies of Mick Collins, Ken Cresswell, Christopher Huxtable and John Shaw, to the prolonged silences, the annual and largely meaningless updates and the reviews into reviews, it's as if the authorities are deliberately prolonging the agony of those 4 families. That is the greatest tragedy. But if there is something within those 180,000 artifacts, some piece of twisted metal or fallen debris that might point to a shortcoming in perceived industry best practice, then the police, health and safety executive, and anyone else involved in this protracted and bloated investigation is complicit in placing other demolition men and women at risk. This investigation has failed. It's failed the demolition industry and it's failed the nation. It's failed 4 grieving families that deserved much, much better and that must surely by now have suffered enough. But worst of all, it's failed the memory of 4 working men who died avoidably and tragically while providing for those families. Just as an aside, I'd already written to the local MP before this pre-inquiry hearing in an attempt to bring some additional pressure to bear. As soon as this show is over, I intend to write to him yet again. Not a great deal else I can do, not a great deal else I can add. I'll be keeping the pressure on, and I would like to think the rest of the industry would do likewise.
The Miller GT series heralds a new era of unrivaled power and cutting-edge intelligent coupler technology, increasing job site safety, machine versatility, and productivity. It's the added versatility that you need at the value you can afford. To find out more, visit millergroundbreaking.com.
Now, speaking of slow-moving investigations and prosecutions, a building materials manufacturer, Etex, has been sentenced after a worker was diagnosed with hand-arm vibration syndrome, or HAVS as we all know it. Peterborough Magistrates Court heard that the employee was diagnosed with HAVS after an HSE investigation established he'd been using percussive tooling and was regularly exposed to vibration above the recommended limit. A health assessment in 2012 had identified the symptoms of HAVS, recommending the employee be referred to a physician for detailed medical examination. That didn't happen until 2016, when the employee was diagnosed with late stage 2 HAVS, which is a serious and irreversible health condition. HSE Inspector Roxanne Barker said this company failed to implement and maintain a system that would suitably monitor the results of vibration data and trigger times, therefore failing to have the effective controls in place to limit the duration and magnitude of exposure to vibration. They also failed to ensure that their employee was under suitable health surveillance to identify problems at an early stage to prevent serious ill health. In a case that also looked into injuries sustained by a second worker who suffered electrical burns at the same site, Etex Exteriors UK Limited pleaded guilty to breaching safety regulations and was fined £282,100 and ordered to pay costs of £12,294. Those of you that have watched any of our Construction Collective shows will know that my colleague Peter Haddock is endlessly enthusiastic and, how shall I put this, a bit loud. Microphones cower in fear of his booming tones. I'm in Surrey and he is in Staffordshire. When he calls me, he does so without the aid of a telephone. He just leans out of his window. On the rare occasions that he actually shouts, the RAF receives complaints about sonic booms. But just how loud is he? Well, to find out, we staged a competition between the LinkedIn legend that is Peter Haddock and Nick Diggerman Drew, armed with a hydraulic hammer. That's not actually true. We didn't do any of those things. But here's the pair of them, 2 of the industry's very finest, competing head-to-head to be heard at the JCB quarry while checking out some of the latest kit.
Hi, I'm Peter Haddock, and we've just moved over here at the JCB demonstration area to hear Nick Drew hammering out some great tunes on another JCB machine. I'm joined by Martin. Martin, what is this machine we see behind me and the attachment that's on it?
Well, this is the 56Z-2, Peter. This is the stage 5 machine in our 4 to 6 ton range. So our Dash 1 range had the 48Z, the 51R, the 55Z and the 57C. We've rationalised that down to 3 models now. So the 50Z, which is behind us, the 56Z and the 60C, which is up at the top. So we've used this opportunity when we went to stage 5 with the engine to increase the creature comforts in the cab, go through the hydraulics ever so slightly just to make some small but tangible improvements on the machine. The attachment is the HM26T breaker, available through JCB Attachments, designed for the machine, obviously operating very well.
Well, it's operated by Nick Drew here, who's always trying to drown us out because he's the man in the cab. Martin, it's great to see the way in which today we've seen JCB machines with new attachments and the way in which they're working together. And I think that's really important to people to know, that they can come and get a machine, and it could be a noisy machine like this one, and that attachment. And again, you know, you partner with JCB Finance, don't you, to allow people to put together a package and a solution.
Exactly. There are no manufacturers that are set up in the way that JCB is set up to help the owner-operator, the rental customer, to get that complete solution. JCB Attachments complete the solution. JCB Finance complete the solution.
And of course, not forgetting the dealers, Martin, who are all over the country here in the UK that do a great job for people every day.
Absolutely. Yep. We 100% rely on our dealers. They give fantastic service. They've got excellent reputations.
So we're hammering out another tough to beat moment here with JCB and Nick Drew. Should have worn some earmuffs. Thanks, Martin. Cheers.
So, who was the louder? Peter Haddock or a hydraulic breaker? Personally, I think Peter might have just edged it. Anyone in Perth in Scotland hoping to shed their post-lockdown lard at the Y Centre may be facing a bit of a wait. The Y Centre is to be demolished and replaced with another leisure and assembly building. A company called Algo is thought to be in the running for the rebuilding element of the works and is no doubt chomping at the bit to get started on the £3 million project. But first, a demolition contractor needs to be appointed, and as it stands right now, the window of opportunity remains open for a suitably competent contractor to flex its demolition muscles. You can find out more about this project lead and many, many more just like it over at buildersconference.co.uk.
Sorry to interrupt the guy with the funny glasses, but if you're enjoying this video, please hit the like button as it helps our channel. Or, better still, share this video with a friend or a colleague. Thank you. Right, back to Beardy.
Right, unless there's any other business, I will declare this episode of the Breakfast Show adjourned. I will roll the outro in just a second before hopping over to the chat, which has been very busy today. I want to see what everyone's got to say. If you didn't see it, we dropped an exclusive video interview on the Volvo EC300E and EC380E straight boom demolition excavators last night. You can still see that over at demolitionnews.com. I don't want to trumpet it too much, but it is a world exclusive, so you won't want to miss it. And please let us know what you think. I'd love to get your feedback on that. And also, thanks for all the kind comments about my various TV and radio and newspaper appearances yesterday, talking about the ongoing investigation into the Didcot disaster. I've got to be honest, I haven't heard or seen any of them. I hear my own voice more than enough, sat right here. But I'm glad that my contributions have been largely well received, and I'm particularly touched that the family members and friends of the 4 men that died have expressed their gratitude, and I'm fairly sure I've just saw a couple of them actually in the chat for today, so I'm going to hop over there in a second. As ever, I'll be back here again, same time, same place. Why do I struggle to say that? Same time, same place on the morrow. Until then, have a great day, stay safe, look after yourself, your family, your friends and your colleagues, and thanks for watching.